Hi. I wanted to make a video and I'm going to rant a bit. I have some notes. But basically, I wanted to rant about the Marvel movies. And honestly, I could spend probably hours ranting about the Marvel movies. And the reason I'm going to have to be clear, the reason is because the Marvel movies were so close to being really, really good. If they didn't have all the propaganda and the agendas pushed in there, and continuity problems, which is one of the things we're going to talk about, they would have been really, really good movies. Anyways, today specifically, I want to talk about the Infinity Stones. And I want to talk about the Infinity Stones as a thing that poses a question. What would you assume the Infinity Stones were by color if no one was there in the Marvel movies to tell you which one was which? Okay? And I mean, it's just, it's what's on my brain. So I thought I'd go through some of the points that I have. And you know what I'll do? You'll like this. Here we go. So I'll be the Eternian King, the Eternian King Paul, and yeah, and you'll enjoy that. And then you'll take me much more seriously. And if that doesn't help, I did also bring the hammer of the gods. So in case you thought that maybe I wasn't worthy enough to explain these things, don't ever doubt the Eternian King. Okay, I'm clearly serious. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to go through each of the Infinity Stones by color and by time of which we run into them in the Marvel movies. And I'm just going to run down based on the names of the stones, and we'll just determine which one is which, okay? All right. So blue, this is the first stone that we see. And just as a certain point by point, the blue stone, Zoloff says it can power all his designs. Dr. Selvig says it has a power source that turns itself on even if they try and turn it off. And Shield says that it has the power to run all of Earth's energy needs. Jarvis, when he detects it and scans it, he says that it creates a wall of unbreakable energy that Stark is powerless to stop. When it's used in the Tesseract, it has the power to transport someone across space. Now, this could lead to some confusion, but to be clear, this is what this blue stone does when it's inside the Tesseract. And to be absolutely clear, there are certain devices or methodologies surrounding these stones which could be confused from what the stone itself is doing or what a device or a person who is using the stone is doing. And the most confusing is the Tesseract. In fact, if I were to just rant on about the Tesseract, I'm going to be really clear, okay? I'm pretty sure that the Tesseract was never meant to be an Infinity Stone. A number of people have picked up on this. Originally, the Tesseract just seemed to be a MacGuffin that held the original Avenger movies together. So is one of these things that it was said to be a jewel of Odin, even though Odin never had anything to do with it. And it was, this object of which they were all trying to get to for the first few movies. And then it suddenly turned into an Infinity Stone for no reason. And it was really, really bright, rich blue colors, which I'm just going to point out that this is because of a subliminal effect that you'll see in many movies where they're trying to just subtly convince you to vote Democrat. I don't know if you want me to rant about that, but every time you see anything that's blue that causes godlike power, it's because it's blue is the color of the Democrat Party. That's, you don't have to trust me on this, but you should trust me on this. Anyways, getting back to our stones and identifying each one. So the yellow stone is the next one that we see, even though it's not initially yellow. It's also bright, shiny Democrat blue when we first see it. Anyways, the yellow stone is used in a way that it sways the soulful intentions of a person, altering their very willpower. It is used to create a machine with a living soul. And it is used to create a living vibranium man with a very deep soul full of passion. And when vision inhabits the stone, it is as a third eye. It is inferring, in fact, in the movie, that the stone is connected somehow to his mind. Now, this can lead to some confusion, but the connection made to the mind is something that was done in the cradle in the laboratory, and it doesn't necessarily in any way represent the work of the stone itself. And it should be noted that neither Ultron nor Vision exceed in any brilliant thought of the mind, but more of the passion of their soul to, do all the things that they do so soulfully as they do them. The next stone that we see is the red stone. Now, the red stone seems to have an effect, and I'm using E here. Sometimes you use A for what is lasting and E for what is immediate. Anyways, the red stone seems to have an effect that it persuades persuades people to its own reality, of which its existence is, rather than a stone, it appears as an ether or a smoke. And I would argue that this is an effect on the mind of those that it defends itself through its parasitic nature. And what it does is it has a parasitic effect on a host whose personal defensive nature, or the stone's defensive nature to the person of which it hosts as a parasite, uses the stone to create a momentary paralyzing effect on those that the host or the stone sees in their mind to be an aggressor. Now, this effect is fantastical and imaginative, as when Thanos uses his mind to create warped but temporary shunting of his aggressors, like making Quill think that his gun shoots bubbles out of it. Arguably an effect on Quill's mind. Now, the purple stone. The purple stone is said to destroy planets on contact, and it is housed in a small planet-shaped sphere. It is the central plot device giving the namesake of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And to be clear, planets and galaxies are in space, aren't they? And this stone can only be held by the son of a hyper-aware planet god-man dude who is lost in space. Lost in space. It is used by Thanos to pull a moon through space. And it is also used by Thanos to punch the super space girl, Captain Hillary, or Captain Marvel, or Danvers, Hillary, I mean Danvers. Anyways, the purple stone. What have I got here? Okay, the green stone is the next one. The green stone is it is used by spellbook reading wizards to open up alternate realities that have a lasting effect on the mediated or current reality of those accepted as practicing wizards by the headmaster or stone bearer, whose constant vigilance with the stone is to protect the current mediated reality from an evil dark monster from a dark reality. Kind of like dark elves. Can be confusing. In fact, a particular confusing point of issue is the use of words to describe the effect of immeasurable time, and the wizards often refer to this as a time effect, although time is a measurement through moving through a timeline of which doesn't seem to have an effect in the reality of which this stone causes its effect. Okay, the stone is even disappeared from visible reality by one of these grand wizards as a magic trick to hide the stone. And I thought I would point out that this seems to be a magic trick that Loki knows how to do as well. I don't know why Loki knows how to do that. Anyways, that's the green stone. And the last stone is the orange stone. I wonder what this stone is. So the orange stone is guarded by a trickster who looks a lot like the classic Grim Reaper, otherwise known as Father Time, who is the fourth horseman, really. I don't know if you want to get into the three horsemen and then the Grim Reaper, but whatever. The stone is gifted to a person through a lost gap of time, when instantaneously it is found in their hand from wherever they used to be until suddenly they have the stone in their hand. They seem to lose time when they get the stone. And it also seems to take the holder of the stone to a great vast lake, which I don't think is a physical space. I think it's more of a metaphorical space. But it takes them to a lake of which they contemplate, a lake of contemplation, which seems to be out of time and place. And the villainous demon who is at the temple, he seems to be collecting souls. I don't think the stone is collecting souls. This may be misleading and confusing, but the stone itself does not seem to be in any way the reason for the existence of a temple, which would be built by people. The stone didn't build a temple. Bit misleading. And he is a trickster guarding the temple. The guy who looks like time, you know. As Metallica says, what Metallica says, death is deliverance for you, for sure. Anyways, so those are the stones as far as I see them. And I guess maybe it's a quick video. There are a number of things about the Marvel movies that I wish I could fix. And I don't know when it will ever be possible to fix these continuities or these deliberate problems that somebody at a Marvel studio, somebody under Disney, somebody decided, hey, let's take a perfectly good, you know, superhero movie, fantasy, fun movie, and let's just fiddle with it until eventually nothing makes any sense and it's confusing. And there are other problems, you know, other deliberate points of propaganda and social programming going on. But I don't need to rant too much. I just wanted to make you think about the Infinity Stones. And the Eternian King is clearly the only person in the galaxy who can possibly tell you what the Infinity Stones are, because even all the great minds in the Marvel world cannot seem to figure out which one is which based on what they do. So I'm gladly here to help you know which stone is which. You're welcome.
You could have the power of the gods! Yet you wear a flag on your chest and think you fight a battle of nations. I have seen the future, Captain. There are no flags! Not my future!
This is the next me.
The regeneration cradle prints tissue. It
can't build a living body.
It can. You can. You lack the materials. You're a brilliant woman, Helen. But we all have room to improve. Typical of humans. They scratch the surface and never think to look within.
But one never knows for sure.
Got speed to move into this.
What is your job exactly besides making balloon animals?
Protecting your reality, douchebag.
Okay, guys.
Did we get them all? Clint, where's Nat?
What?
Huh? What do you do? What do you do? Just ask him a question.
Yeah, no, you're acting like she's dead. Why are we acting like she's dead? We have the stones, right? As long as we have the stones, Cap, we can bring her back. Isn't that right? So stop this shit with the Avengers. Get it together.
Can't get her back.
Let's see, what?
It can't be undone. Can't.
Look, I'm sorry, no offense, but you're a very earthly being, okay? And we're talking about space magic. And Khan seems very definitive, don't you think?
Yeah, look, I know that I'm way outside my pay grade here. But she still's in here, is she?
No, that's my point.
It can't be undone. Or that's at least what the red floating guy had to say. Maybe you want to go talk to him, okay? Go grab your hammer, and you go fly and you talk to him.